So today the EFL announced they were going to launch an investigation into the spying row. We saw Bielsa send a spy to look at Derby. Liam, does this go on all the time?
In my experience, not to this level of actually initiating something to happen. You know, you hear of... one thing I used to hate is players that used to play with each other call each other up and ask for the team if they knew that player wasn't in the team, and then they might tell them, oh, yeah, I'm not in the team, but I know the team, this is the team.
Opposition?
Opposition, yeah, I've heard of that before.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, and I think it's poor, and I think there are certain rules and etiquettes and laws that we abide by. It's just human nature. You know, you play sport, you want to win, but there are lines that you cross. And I think a line's been crossed. What I would say about Bielsa, he's been an absolute breath of fresh air for the Championship. He's got a young Leeds team playing absolutely outstanding football. But as you've been a coach, I'm starting to learn. As a coach, there's a level of respect you have for your opposition, and also it does have a bearing on the game. It does have a bearing on the game. If you know the exact team that are going to play against you a day before and the set-piece routines they're going to try and work in the system they're going to play, you have an unfair advantage if you've initiated that. And I think a line's been crossed. Now there's not a precedent for it, but something needs to be done to make sure that that can't come into the game.
Well, he said he was quite open about it. He said, I've done it my whole career, but what's the problem?
Yeah.
I mean, if you are going to embrace people from different countries with different practices, should we not just accept it?
No, I think if it's not right and proper, it's not right and proper from whatever country you come from. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the punishment is by the FA. As we said, we've not seen anything as clear-cut as this before. If it was me, the team that is affected the most is Derby. I'd reverse the scoreline.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I think I like let the punishment fit the crime. That statement fits this brilliantly. And I think if you've sent someone all the way down from Leeds to Derby to stand outside the training ground, and then when asked about it, you say, yes, he was sent down by me, you know, to put his expense sheet in and all that game, I think, fine, no problem. You won 2-0 against Derby, it affected Derby. It's not in the spirit of the game.
But I mean, it's the EFL that will look at this, but can you honestly say that game, the performance, was down to their man in the bushes?
No, not at all. Not at all.
How much difference did it actually make to the outcome of the game? Or in your mind, is that irrelevant?
Probably not.
You can't quantify.
No.
They were outstanding. Leeds were absolutely brilliant, as they have been all season. They played great football. They attacked Derby from first whistle. Now, I'm not saying that the scoreline would have changed at all, but there's a line that you cannot cross as a coach. Like, for example, we spoke about Rashford's goal, Manchester United at Tottenham, tactically, why that worked, because Tottenham like to play their fullbacks high up the diamond, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer changes the system. Now, had Pochettino known that Solskjaer was going to change the system for that game, he would have had an unfair advantage in terms of that element of football and tactical understanding and playing in that way is taken out of it. So for me, it's wrong. As simple as that. It's not about Leeds' performance on the night or Derby's performance. In terms of the rules and etiquettes of sport and the game that we love, it's wrong and the line's been crossed and there's no precedent for it. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the EFL do.
When you've been a manager, how much do you normally know about the opposition?
Well, I think a lot of it's there for all to see. You see all the games, you see all the set plays. You can probably, know enough about that. If someone comes, one of your players comes and says, we think this is going to be the team, as Liam said, some players are clueless and they give their team to the opposition willingly, then everyone's made aware of that, and that happens all the time. Yeah. You know, someone will turn around and say, all you've got to do is ring someone up and say, I hear you're not playing today, and the first thing they'll say is, yes, I am. Who told you that? So straight away, you know, he's in the team, you know, so it's a little bit of common sense.
It drives you mad because you know your own players.
Of course your own players do it, so it's a fair game then.
If Bielsa didn't think he was going to get an advantage from it, he wouldn't have sent him. So for me, there's something behind it, because Leeds would have known Derby's team throughout the season, their set pieces, how much information you get, all the Opta stats, everything you want. You get 15 different angles of a team playing in the Championship. If he didn't think he would get an unfair advantage from sending a scout down to watch him, he wouldn't have done it. And that's the problem, because he's initiated something that, for me, shouldn't be happening in our game.
So where is your punishment on this, or don't you think there is any? Do you think the EFL call him in and say, don't do that again? Or, I think the way I've approached it, the punishment directly fits the crime in this case.
Well, the only problem is, I'm not sure that there are any laws that actually covers this.
Exactly.
So, although there is a law about the respect and behaviour towards other clubs, so it could come under that. It's really up to the EFL. So it's probably a good... I can't see how they can look at it and say, yes, this is acceptable practice. I mean, it has gone on previously. AVB, Andre Villas-Boas, he said when he was Mourinho's assistant, he said, I'd go to training grounds and often incognito, and I would come back, present Jose and the players with the document. Everyone was fully briefed.
Look, if that's the way that they want to work, in this case, Bielsa's come out and said, I did it. So you can't, when something's wrong, you can't stand for it. Now, I think Bielsa's an absolute genius. Absolute genius. He's done an incredible job at Leeds. No taking away from him that. And it's not bashing him or bashing Leeds as a football club. You don't want every manager in the 92 football clubs to start sending scouts to each other's training grounds where you get people all the time. At Brighton, we have family come in at certain days to train. You want to be as open as possible without the threat of wondering, is this parent getting paid by another club to come in and watch our session? It's just not right. I just think it shouldn't. They need to do something about it.
Would you go as far as Stuart with the EFL right now on this particular incident? Would you reverse the result?
If Stuart's punishment was what the EFL went with, I guarantee you that no one else would be caught sending scouts to other training grounds, because that's a severe punishment. But as there's no precedent for it, so that could be argued against. So look, it's one of those things. It's a grey area for me. I think it's wrong, and something should happen. Whether reversing the result or replaying the game or whatever it is, there needs to be some form of punishment for something that I think is just morally wrong. And that if a player dives in the box, a form of cheating. If you're trying to find an unfair advantage in a way of sending someone to hide in the bushes or wherever they were to watch a training session, for me it's the same thing. So it needs to be stamped out.
I think your point's brilliant in regard to the implications of it, you know. We say that football is become like this, you know what I mean? The public are over there, the supporters are over there, and the players are here, and never the two should meet anymore. The fact that if all clubs will say we're not letting anyone through the door, we're not letting supporters and families and season ticket holders just in case that one person's there taking notes, and I find that really sad. If that's an implication of what we've seen here. Well, maybe they will take a strong stance and that'll be an end to it. OK, let's go to Twitter. I've got a few for you here, boys. I'll start with you, Stuart, because you were a Hammer for a while. Stuart, does Arnautovic wanting to go to China surprise you? And also, who would you replace him with? That's an easy one. Surprise me from a financial aspect and the money they're talking per week's earnings, it probably doesn't. The finance they're talking to take for him, bear in mind they paid 25 million for him, they're talking 36 million. I wouldn't take 36 million. I think he'll end up signing a new contract, a more lucrative contract to stay at West Ham personally. What would it cost to replace him? Well, I mean, they're talking Wilson, 50 million. If you're taking Callum Wilson at 50 million, then it will take 50 million to replace him. That's just the way the market's gone. It's so hard to value a player now for all different reasons, but it will take a lot of money to replace Arnautovic, who scored some crucial goals for West Ham. I think that would be a fair swap, personally. If one wants to go out the door and don't want to be at your club and it's costing you no money to bring Callum Wilson in, I think I'd do that deal. Would you call his bluff, Arnautovic? It depends how far down the road I've gone with Callum Wilson. So unless it's literally guaranteed like that, you wouldn't do it. OK. Right, January transfer window. Is it made for panic buys? 100%. Yeah. And it's made for signing players that you stockpile that probably are no use to you in the long term, I think. I'm not a lover of it, personally. I'm really not. Especially if you're a club that haven't got the finance. I manage Manchester City with the likes of Micah Richards and Michael Johnson and Sean Wright-Phillips, great up-and-coming young kids. And I was in fear that January transfer window would open. I just wanted it to slam shut again at the end of it. I didn't have the finance to go and buy. And they'll be doing the same down in Bournemouth, by the way. We've just mentioned Callum Wilson, potentially suitors to other clubs. Eddie Howe won't be thanking us for talking about that. No. But that's the nature of the transfer window, and it's so difficult to find. I remember when Lucas Moore signed last season for Tottenham. It takes a player, especially signing from abroad, so long to get used to the speed of the game over his complete different rhythm, the Premier League, to abroad. And it's so difficult to take from another Premier League club because of the financial implications of top four relegation. So it's always a gamble in January.
to bring a player in and expect them to hit the ground running, and that's why it comes down to maybe stockpiling, maybe covering positions on a pitch where you feel like you may get an injury, rather than really building, which is what you try to do in the summer transfer window.
OK, last one. Since you both stopped playing, what is the best and worst thing to change about the game?
I'm still flummoxed with the offside laws. I've got, Jeff, honestly, I've not played the game long enough to pick up on the offside laws, and I'm totally confused with first and second phase, the clarity of it. I, as a defender, knew, and Liam was the same, if someone plays a ball and you know the forward's in behind you, you're going to make an effort to get it. I just so confused.
You're offside.
Do you know what?
10 seconds.
Do you know what's annoyed me is the backwards kick-off, and then so you just kick it up the pitch to the other team. I think we should go back to playing forward off a kick-off. It's just something that really winds me up. I don't understand it.